We have a friend who used to suffer with a lot of headaches. She tried everything to solve the problem. Lowering her caffeine intake, doing yoga, drinking more water, but none of the ideas worked. Because every day, around about the same time, the headaches would reappear. One day, while sitting in a lecture, a friend asked her why she was squinting. She replied, "I can't see the board." And at that moment she suddenly realized what the real problem was. She needed stronger glasses. Now the moral of this story is that it doesn't matter how creative you are. Your solutions won't work unless you're working on the right problem. Unfortunately, people often put a lot of time and energy into solving completely the wrong problem. So how do you know if you're working on the right problem? Well, this is where the data, which you collected in the last program, comes into play. Let's show you how. Whilst you were busy collecting the data for your problem, we were busy working on our problem. Why is our bicycle rusty? Now, the interesting thing was that as we looked at our list of data, we spotted some additional problems. For example, no one had ridden the bicycle in ages. The family was becoming unfit, and no one seemed to have time to exercise. Now, there's nothing wrong with finding more problems. In fact, this is actually a good thing. If we'd stuck with the initial problem, we would probably have just grabbed an oil can and started cleaning the bicycle. That would be fine as a short-term fix, but it wouldn't solve the underlying issue. Instead, by collecting some facts, we were able to clarify the problem and start to understand what's really going on. Okay, enough about our bicycle. Let's go back to your problem. As a first step, we'd like you to go through your list of data, looking for new problems, and placing a star next to any new problems you see. When you've done that, the next step is to review your problem list, and using convergent thinking, select the ones that you think are most important at this time. Basically, you're looking for the problems which need new approaches. Now, once you've selected some important problems that you'd like to work on, you can move on to the next step, and we're going to show you how to handle this by working on some of the problems we identified. One of our problems is we don't have any time to exercise. Now, if you're going to become an expert creative problem solver, it's essential that you state the problems in the most helpful way. This can be done very easily just by describing your problems in a more positive way. Now, we do that by using what we call statement starters. Typically, we use how to, how might I, or in what ways might I. Now, you may not think that changing a few words would make a difference, but just listen to the difference between these two statements. First, I don't have time to exercise. Second, how might I find the time to exercise? The facts are the same in both cases. You need to make time. However, when you use the statement starters like how to, how might I, or in what ways might I, you're taking an optimistic, creative problem-solving approach. And most importantly, it's inviting you to think of ideas. Let's go back to the critical problems you selected, and using your workbook, rephrase them using the statement starters. How to, how might I, or in what ways might I. Once you've done this, take a good look through your list to see if you think you have clearly defined all of your problems related to your initial statement. Now, we're going to take a guess and say you probably haven't. In fact, you may need to take more time to clarify one or more of your problems. For example, let's look at our problem statement, how to find time to exercise. Is finding time the real problem, or is there something else that could be related to this problem? To work on this problem statement, we'll need to bring back Aunt Edna, and this time she's bringing help in the form of Uncle Ernie. Imagine this. You sit down with Aunt Edna and Uncle Ernie, and you ask them, how might I find the time to exercise? And guess what Aunt Edna asks? Yep, you guessed it. Why? Why do you want to find time to exercise? And you say, because I'm becoming unfit. Remembering that you're now becoming an expert problem solver, you actually rephrase it as how to get fitter and write that down. She asks you once again, why? Why do you want to get fitter? And you reply with, because I have more energy when I'm fit. So you write down, how to gain more energy. Now at this point, Uncle Ernie jumps in. He asks the critical question, what's stopping you? What is stopping you from finding the time? You think about it and you reply, I always seem to have so many other things to do. So you write down, how to get more done in fewer hours. And because there's always more than one way to look at a problem, you also write, how to reduce the number of things I have to do, and how to make more time in my day. Uncle Ernie continues asking you questions. He then asks, what's stopping you from reducing the number of things you have to do? You reply, because people keep asking me to do more stuff, which you write down as, how to stop people asking me to do things. Suddenly it hits you. Your problem is not a rusty bicycle or being unfit. The real problem is that you need to find ways to say no to people. Aunt Edna's why questions and Uncle Ernie's what is stopping you questions can really help with clarifying your problems. Now, when you go back to your list, select a problem statement you believe is still not well defined and try asking why and what's stopping you. Write down your answers in your workbook. You may find you've created a long list of problem statements to work with. This is perfect. You'll need them all for the next program. So here's what we'd like you to do for homework. First, practice rephrasing your problems using the statement starters. Second, when someone approaches you with a problem, practice asking why and what's stopping you. Notice how the problem changes when you're asking these two critical questions. See you in the next program.